Did you know one of the greatest NCAA players ever never actually got to step onto an NBA floor? Len Bias was a great basketball player and made a huge impact on NCAA basketball. After watching many documentaries on the forward from Maryland, I wish I would have been able to watch him with my own eyes. According to a 30 for 30 film, Len Bias was talked about to be the next Michael Jordan of the NBA. You're going to be hearing about Len Bias' early years, college career, and his NBA selection, and also his death. Although numerous people have heard about Len Bias, many do not know what he could have been. Len Bias was born in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. He went by the nickname Frosty. His pastor gave him this nickname because of his cool behavior. According to ESPN.com, he was born to the parents James Bias Jr. and Dr. Lenise Bias. There were 4 children in Len Bias' family. Bias was a standout at Northwestern High School in Hyattsville, Maryland. And he was heavily recruited by many powerhouse colleges. After his standout senior season, Bias decided to take his talents to the nearby University of Maryland. During Len Bias' freshman season at Maryland, he quickly developed as a critical player to the Maryland basketball team. During his junior season at Maryland, Bias led the Atlantic Coast Conference in scoring. Bias was named the ACC Player of the Year and made the All-American team. During his senior season, Bias had a huge 35-point game against top-ranked North Carolina. At the end of Bias' senior season, he was awarded the ACC Player of the Year, and he was named to the All-American team. Len Bias was such an amazing athlete. He impressed so many basketball fans with his amazing jumping ability and his physical build. They considered Len Bias the most dynamic player in the nation. He was known for this by his ability to create plays. Len was labeled as the most complete forward that was coming out of the NCAA class of 1986. Many people were saying that Bias was the closest thing to Jordan. After an unbelievable 4 years at the University of Maryland, Bias was determined to prove himself as a superstar in the NBA. According to NBA.com, on June 17, 1986, the defending NBA champions Boston Celtics selected Bias with the 2nd overall pick. And here's Len Bias getting pick number 2. There's him in the Boston green. Bias flew to Boston the day after the draft with his dad for a product endorsement signing ceremony. After returning back to Maryland, Bias decided to celebrate with his teammates. A group of his teammates went out to eat, and later they attended an off-campus get-together. He later returned back to the dorms. Bias and his teammates were doing cocaine in his suite in the early hours of the morning. After hours of coming back to the dorm, Bias suffered a seizure just before 7 a.m. and was unconscious. Bias was taken to the hospital, but doctors could not successfully restart his breathing. He was pronounced dead just before 9. No other drugs or alcohol were found in Bias' system. An unfortunate tragedy took away such a gem. Len Bias was talked about to be the next Michael Jordan of the NBA. Len was an awesome basketball player who had a great career that ended up getting cut short because of an overdose. Although we have no evidence, Len Bias could have been the greatest player who ever walked the